Welcome back to Random Doctor Talks, where we talk about all things medicine and all things life. So I'm here alone again, and it seems like I'm the one who doesn't have things to do. I'm just joking. So we're usually a group of four young lady doctors, and we talk about all things medicine and all things life. You'll have seen them in the introductory video. Don't worry. Yeah. So today's topic is, I think, important, especially to the young folk who are just, entering this field of careers and bills. So I think it's relevant just so that you know what it is you're spending your money on and what are you getting from, what benefits are you getting from spending that money. So the topic today is, drum roll, the editor will insert the drum roll too. So the topic is what to consider when choosing an insurance. Health insurance specifically, not car, not house, health insurance. So I've broken this down into three main topics. So the first one is what offerings they have in general. General meaning that every health insurance company offers these things. The second one, is the special offerings that different insurances might have. And the third one is what factors to consider. So why am I talking about insurances? It's something we've been wanting to talk about for a long time, just because we work in the healthcare industry and we see how not having an insurance can actually be very expensive when seeking healthcare. People literally have to sell their assets just to pay bills, but insurance can help. If not cover the whole bill, it can help offset some of these bills. So I had a friend recently who had an accident, and she had to go to hospital. When she went to hospital, so the accident that she had, she got an injury that needed surgery, just minor surgery, just suturing. So she had to go to theater. And she spent, I think, less than 24 hours in hospital. Less than 24 hours, imagine. And her bill was more than 260,000. Can you imagine? She spent less than 24 hours in hospital, and that was her bill. So I'm just trying to imagine for someone who doesn't have insurance, and that's an accident, it's something that it happened. I mean, you can't avoid it, and you really have to go to hospital, and you have to be treated. So you're told, okay, fine, so your bill is 260,000, and you're like, it's the first. It's literally the first of the year. I mean, where is this coming from? So I decided, let's just talk about insurances. Let's see where I can help, or rather where we can help you just get a bit more insight into what insurances offer, what to consider when choosing one. And so let's start. So the first thing I'll talk about is what generally health insurances offer, which is outpatient services, inpatient services, maternity, dental, and optical care. So the first thing, outpatient cover are the services that you receive when you go to a casualty or a clinic or where you're not going to be admitted mostly. So most covers tend to start from around 50,000 to as much as even 200 and above. And most people I know are covered by around 50,000. And I think this is, if you're going to be seeking healthcare in a private facility, that's a really small amount. It's a good place to start, but it's a really small amount, because if you think about it, let's say you need something like a scan, an MRI, a CT scan, those things run up to even 20,000 and above. So you might just find that in one day, in actually less than a day, you've maxed out your outpatient cover. So I think when you're choosing outpatient cover, just think about what it is that you would be seeking. I know sometimes these things are, you go for a common cold or like a flu or like a running stomach, but you never know when you'll need to have a scan done. So assess your pocket, of course, but also just look at what is being offered and how much you are willing to pay, so that once you incur such costs like an MRI or such things, it's not really, hurting your pocket if you're paying out of pocket. Something else about outpatient cover is some insurances have this co-pay plan where they'll cover a certain percentage and you cover another one. So that's also something to consider when choosing an insurance. If it's something you're not willing to do, keep looking. But if you're actually comfortable doing the co-pay service, then that is okay. So outpatient cover, I think to start 50,000 is good, but I think if you're willing to spend a bit more, I think 100,000 is a good amount. It's a really, really good amount that you can pay for outpatient services. When it comes to inpatient now you've been admitted. So of course, when you're admitted, let me tell you, this amount, the cost by the day, I think even not even by the day, by the hour. Kwanza, if you're going to be on oxygen, where, let me tell you, some of these things like oxygen is charged per hour in hospitals. So you can find that the cost tends to rise so fast. You can spend more than 1 million shillings in less than a week in a hospital. So when it comes to choosing inpatient cover and your cover limit, I think go as high as you're able to. If you're able to go 5 million, I think that's good. So most start at 500,000, 1 million, 2 to 3 million, 5 million, and 10. So I think a good place to start is 2 to 3 million, just because you're sure you'll be covered for at least 5 days. When you're admitted, most of the time on average, you'd be admitted for 3 to 5 days. So 2 to 3 million would be a good place to start. If you're if you're able to spend just a bit more, 5 million is also good. And 10 million, I know not all of us can spend that amount, but between 2 and 10 million, that's a really good place, just because when you're admitted, the costs really go up, and they go up so quick. So you tend to find that you start digging now into your pocket, especially if your cover is like 500,000 or like 1 million Kenya shillings. So that's about inpatient services. And then also inpatient services, is good to remember that it can include things like going to theater, things like also having CTs and MRIs done, and those things are also very expensive. So that's why we advise you to get a slightly higher inpatient limit, just because you're not sure what will happen to you. And also if it's an accident, so many things can happen, and you also want to have the best care, the best treatment. In the hospital, what we normally have is a pre-authorization letter to see if they can cover a certain procedure or a test or lab investigation. So you don't want your insurance to be like, oh, I'm sorry, we don't cover that, they'd have to pay out of pocket. No. You want to be able to have all the services offered to you at your convenience. So if you're able to spend, or rather to get a cover that's between 2 to 3 million, I think that's a good place to start. But also if you're not able, you can also start small. You can start with 1 million, and then now as you progress in the health insurance space, then you can keep upping. And also I think I need to point out that you don't have to have the same cover covering your outpatient and covering your inpatient. You can have different covers. So for outpatient, maybe one insurance has a better offer at a better price. You can choose that. And then for a different insurance, they're offering something better for inpatient, you can go with that. But you can also go with one insurance that covers both inpatient and outpatient. So don't feel like boxed into choosing just one to cover everything. When it comes to outpatient services, optical and dental services are also covered in outpatient most of the times. So it's also good to check on that, especially if you're someone who, let's say, wears glasses, or you have optical issues, if you have dental issues, like you frequent the dentist a lot, it's also good to consider how much your optical and dental covers, the limit for your optical and dental services are. So like for me, because clearly, so I need to have at least a checkup once a year. I need to change my prescription. That means getting new glasses, new lenses. So some of these things, they add up, and glasses are not cheap. So it's also good to make sure that your cover is a good amount, just so that you can get good quality glasses and services. Also for dental, it's good to have an annual checkup. So when you go for a checkup, especially a dental checkup, I don't know what it is. You will not go for a dental checkup and leave without having something else done. That one I can guarantee you. You will always go to the dentist, and there's something that will need, or you need a filling, or you need a cleaning, or you need, I don't know, a root canal. There's always something that will come up. So it's also good to ensure that your dental cover covers at least a substantial amount, so that when you incur these, what do I call them? Things that just come up out of nowhere, and you need, to have them done, your insurance can also be able to cover it. So that's optical, dental, outpatient, and inpatient. The last one I'll talk about is maternity. Maternity cover is so important because, let me tell you, maternity, labor and delivery is a very, what do I call it? Not touchy, sensitive area, because things can go unexpectedly. They can take an unexpected turn, not because you intended to, or not even just because of negligence, just because of how the events have happened. So it's always good to have a good maternity cover, especially because I know for most people who have insurance cover, you want to go to a private facility. Maternity in private facilities is not cheap. It is not cheap at all. So please make sure you have a good maternity cover. And it's also good to research on what facilities you'd like to have your maternity services offered in, just so that you're getting the best services for also a good price, because sometimes you might be or you might feel like you're being overcharged for something that's been offered in a different facility and it's the same quality. So maternity cover is very important, even if you're not yet pregnant, but of course you plan to get pregnant in the future or have children in the future. It's good to have a good maternity cover. So that's the first group. This is what in general all health insurances offer. So now we'll move to the next part. The next part is about special services. These are things that they can be exclusions, so they don't have to be included in your cover, but if you would like them to be included in your cover, they can be added. So for special services, I'll talk about 3 things in particular. So the first one is a chronic disease cover. This is for people who have chronic diseases, diabetes, hypertension, cancers, heart failure, chronic kidney disease, and you need frequent checkup. You need to be purchasing medicine frequently. So you find that this cost actually tends to add up and becomes very expensive. So there are some insurance covers that have included this into their packages, so that if this is you suffer from, let's say, diabetes, and you need to keep going to the doctor, you need to keep buying medication, it covers that. So one insurance I know that covers it is GA insurance. They do cover chronic disease, also AAR. So yeah, that's also something to consider, especially if you know that some of these things run in your family. It's also good to, think ahead. So once you're choosing your insurance, maybe I am predisposed to getting this. Not saying that you will get it, but you're predisposed to getting this disease in the future. So I should consider it when choosing an insurance cover. So that's chronic disease management. Then the second point is critical illness cover. Now, critical illness cover is a cover for critical illnesses that you did not anticipate. Sometimes you know that you have a familial predisposition, but you didn't anticipate them, and the management needs a large sum of money at that point. Like you need to, let's say, fly to India and have a surgery done. So this is for some things like cancer, things like heart failure, things like stroke. So what happens is you pay a premium, and when the eventuality happens that you'll get, let's say you're diagnosed with cancer, God forbid, but let's say you're diagnosed with cancer. So what happens is the insurance covers it. It covers the treatment, and you're able to get the services that you need. So a good insurance that I know that offers this, it's kind of new in the market. I don't think I've seen it with other insurances. It might be there, but I've come across it with Old Mutual, formerly UAP. So what they do is, so if you develop this illness, you're able to go and get all the treatment you need. And the cover goes to, I think it was a maximum of up to 15 million. So I think that's a good amount for you to, even if you're flying out to get treatment elsewhere, specialized treatment, or even if you're doing it in the country, that's a good amount to get the treatment done. So what you do is you just keep topping. If you're insured by UAP, by Old Mutual, for your normal cover, you can top up now for this critical care cover, and you'll be covered for that. If you're not insured by Old Mutual, you can still get this as a separate package with Old Mutual on its own. Let's say you have your other outpatient, inpatient cover with a different insurance, but you can also have your critical care cover now with Old Mutual. So it starts from, I think, as low as 750,000 to up to 15 million. So it just depends on what you're able to pay as a premium, and that will determine, the payout you get at the end to be able to deal with this disease, or rather to have it managed for you. Yeah, so that's critical illness cover, of which I feel like that's a plus. If you're able to get that, especially if there's a lot of predisposition of things like family or cancers in your family, of stroke, of heart disease, that's a good cover to get, because these things just they just happen out of nowhere, and you see there are so many fundraisers, and to cover the medical bills, like the former, what was her name? We just lost her, Catherine Kasavuli. There's so many people who've just had, your bills tend to run up, and you just find that, we have to appeal to the public or to our friends and families to just help us offset the bills. So I think if you're able to get this cover, that's a good cover for us. There's something else about transportation. If you get sick or you need emergency assistance in somewhere that's not where you're used to being, let's say you're in Nairobi and you're from Nairobi, not in Nairobi, let's say you're based here, but you've traveled to Isiolo and you need to be airlifted or you need an ambulance. So there are some insurances that actually offer ambulance and air transfer covers. I'll do a bit more research, but that can be included in your cover if it's something that you would like. I'll do a bit more research just to see what insurance covers, companies offer this. But also, if your insurance cover does not offer, there's also the likes of AMREF. It's not an insurance cover, but it offers these services, and it can be something else that you pay for when it comes to your health. So it can be like a health insurance cover. But yes, so transportation is something else to consider, because you never know where you'll need emergency ambulances or emergency airlifting. So that's something else to consider when choosing an insurance. Then the last thing in now as a special service is annual wellnesses or your annual checkup. Most insurances offer this, local and international. Most of them offer this. What the difference is just the amount. So I know a good number of local insurances that offer an amount for you to have an annual checkup done. They call this the wellness benefit, wellness package. So it goes from as low as 5,000 to, there's some insurances that offer up to even $1,000. Yes, $1,000, which is almost 100,000. I know, guy, now with the dollar rate, hata sijuangi. But yes, so it's actually very, very important to have an annual wellness done, because your body is just like a car. The way you service your car annually or biannually or however often or frequent you service your car, you're still servicing it to make sure that everything is working well as it should. So your body is just the same. You should always have an annual checkup done just to make sure things are working well. If there's anything that comes up, it can be addressed early, because the earlier the better. So most insurances have a wellness cover. It's just you to now do your due diligence and see how much it is. And also, of course, it depends on how much your premium is. That can also determine how much they will be willing to pay for your wellness cover. So that's something else to check. And please, 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 I think that's a very important one. So, and also for those of you who are already insured, please use your wellness packages. Don't just let them go. It's for your own benefit. Use them. Read your the package well. Read what is being offered in your cover, so that you can understand and know what is it that I need to do. Where can I claim? Yes. Then, yeah, so we've talked about the bulk. Now we'll just talk about what to consider. So when it comes to the amount of cover, that one, it really depends on your pocket. It depends on how much you're willing to spend. But of course, the more you're willing to spend, the higher your limit is going to be. So that's just something to consider. And then from there is where now you can start picking everything else. So what insurance, what company you're going to go with, what benefits would you want. Once you've determined whatever you're willing to spend, then now you can fix all the nitty-gritties. Another thing to consider is international versus local insurances. This is just my 2 cents, by the way. I think we have a good array of local insurances. The ones that I have interacted with that I feel have offered very good services are the likes of Old Mutual. They had a very good COVID cover. Even GA had a very good COVID cover. Those are among the few that were actually covering for COVID. Another one is AAR is also a good cover. Which other? There's another one. CIC is also good, and Heritage. Those are some of the ones that I have gotten good testimonials from people that I've interacted with, even as I was looking for, what insurance should I be covered with. And those are the local ones. Then international insurances, I feel like you just can't go wrong, because they're not very like this. So they tend to give you some leeway, especially when it comes to seeking services. For the local insurances, they're very particular about where and who you seek your services from. But international insurances tend to have just a bit more leeway. And I think this is important, because you never know where you'll get sick or where you'll need to seek medical attention. You might not be in Nairobi, which is where you're used to being. You might be out of Nairobi. You might be out of the country. When it comes to international insurances, I feel like they have that advantage to them. And also when it comes to their packages, they have much more to offer. So the likes of Bupa, the likes of Cigna, Allianz, I think it's called Collison. But but they're actually very many. And I think if you have a good sum of money to spend, I think those are a good place to check on international insurances. Most of them are attached to brokers. So there's some good brokers that I've seen that offer, their services are like really good, even when it comes to claiming, when it comes to referring you to health specialists. So there's Gold Star, there's the likes of JW Seagon, they're very good brokers, Ken Bright. So I think also when you're looking at choosing an international insurance, you can also go through these brokers because they have very good services. Even just selecting what package is relevant to you, because I've noticed that they work very well, very closely with the healthcare providers. So it's not just a blanket cover where, it applies to everyone. No, sometimes they actually become very specific and tailor-make things to fit you as an individual. So I think that's also a very important thing to consider when choosing an insurance. Something else is it's good to know the age limits of the covers. I think most insurances cover until around 65 years of age. I don't know why. I think because now above that, you're more of a risk because, the older you get, the more sickly people tend to be. But it's also good to look at the age limits when you're choosing a cover. And yeah, I think that's what I had to talk about when it comes to insurances. And I just want to mention that this is just the beginning. There's so much more we can talk about when it comes to insurances. And I think we'll also have specialists come in because I can't even lie. I'm not a specialist when it comes to insurances. There's so many clauses that I miss, in the whole, your premium, your package, so your policy, I mean. So we'll have, specialists come and just demystify the thing that is health insurances. But that's it for now. I hope you've enjoyed. I hope you've learned something and you'll carry it with you even when you're choosing your next insurance or your first insurance provider. And yeah, don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to share this with someone who needs to hear this. I mean, we are young, we're just getting into this working space. You have bills to pay, you start thinking about your health. Share this with someone that you think needs to hear this, that it's relevant to them. And yeah, subscribe. So I think, that's it for today. Bye.